You know how everyone says, trust your gut? Well, not everyone's gut talks the same way. And sometimes it's not even their gut talking. This is one of the reasons I absolutely love human design, because it gives us that permission slip to listen to our own unique voice from within. It reminds us that each of our bodies have a unique language, and learning that changes everything. I was going to record this in the same place and make sure everything was set up perfectly to do this video, but the download, the intuitive hit has come through to do it now. So here we are. So in this video, I want to normalize the messiness of learning to trust yourself and learning how to listen to your body more, because we're all different and none of us are built the same. And even those of us who in human design have the same authority, there are so many nuances and differences between those as well. And one of the reasons I get so excited about human design is because it gives us the language. And if you haven't already checked out my first video, how human design helps you build self-trust and flow, please go back and watch that. It's a really short video that just starts to scrape away the surface and dive a little bit deeper into that. But today I'm going to pick 4 different human design authorities, touch on them quietly. I'm going to share a little bit about how it's helped me, what I've learned from it, and bring it all together in this, neat enough little bow at the end. My human design, my inner authority, is a sacral authority. And what that means is I have that gut knowing. It's, the one that everyone talks about. Listen to your gut. I have that. And it basically means our body is really good at answering things with a yes or a no. And it can be really in the moment. And in my design, and this is going a little bit nerdy, I have a defined spleen as well. So that also backs up my sacral authority with that inner, in the moment, intuitive hit, like now, like it's on, and oh my gosh, it is on. So it's that difference between feeling alive and feeling energized and excited about something and lit up, on fire, lit up, as opposed to feeling flat and drained and exhausted by something. So many times that has happened to me, and it's something I'm still learning. But the next one that is probably the most popular in my life, at least, is the emotional authority. And at least 50% of people have a defined emotional authority, which means they will have a wave of emotion in some form. And if you've got an emotional authority, it's all about giving yourself time. It's all about giving yourself a beat to really feel into a decision. And it's the biggest key that you can take away from any of this is all of these authorities come from the body, not from up here. None of them are from the mind. And so if you're thinking your way through a decision, unless, that's part of your design, usually it's about getting into the body and listening for what the cues are and the unique clues are for you, I suppose. What does your inner compass look like? What does it feel like? What is it saying to you? What does it sound like? I'm a visual person, so thinking about my inner compass and what that might look like and what it feels like and sounds like will be very different for you. So coming back to the emotional authority, it means, especially for the big decisions, waiting it out a little bit. If you're super excited and you're in a freaking great mood and you're just absolutely high on life and things are just like, yeah, you're just super pumped about everything, that's not always the best position to be making big decisions from. Because that high, that intense, that joy can really sway things, whether they're actually right for you or not. And it's the same when we call it an emotional low. That's the language. But when your emotions are maybe a little bit more depressed, and I'm not talking about like clinical depression or anything like that, although that can play a part, but I'm more talking about, that natural rise and fall of emotion. Say you're really frustrated by something, or, something didn't meet your expectations and you're really disappointed, and you're just sort of going through this lull and things don't feel right. Say you're moving house and you're choosing somewhere to live. Maybe it's a new car, and you're not really feeling it that day. When you sit inside that car, it's going to be like, ugh, like this is just, and that's going to interfere with your inner compass, and it's going to interfere with that inner messaging that's trying to get your attention to say, this could be the right decision for you, but because you're so low, it's completely swaying that and, leading you somewhere else. So, big decisions like that, we want to wait until we're at a neutral place with the emotional authority. And if you don't have the time to wait a day or a week, even giving yourself 5 minutes to just come back to a somewhat neutral place, just to let it land in your body, is really helpful. Then there is the splenic authority. And like I mentioned before, I have a defined spleen. But because my sacral is also defined, it means my authority is the sacral. That kind of trumps the spleen in a way. But those with the splenic authority, they're so cool. Oh my God, they're so intuitive. They just when they learn to trust it, the power's always there, but it's magnificent and it's so in the moment, but it's quiet. The splenic authority, it speaks once and then it doesn't speak loud and it doesn't speak often. But it is it just pierces through the truth in the moment, So, it's something that you need to learn to get quiet with and still the mind so that you can actually listen to that in the body. And one of the other ones that is quite a popular one in my life, and this isn't all of them, there are 7 different authorities, I'm just going through 4 of them today, is the talk it out or self-projected. And your truth literally comes out through your voice, and needing to be able to be in a space that feels supportive, with people that you trust and know that have your best interest at heart. You're able to talk things out and just hearing yourself. It's not necessarily to get permission. It's not necessarily to include the other person in your decision making. No, it's more of a sounding board. And you're listening for the tone of your voice, the pitch, how open you are. Right now, if I had a talk it out authority and you heard me talking, I'm using my hands, my body's getting big, and I sound the tone of my voice, it has conviction. I'm confident in what I'm saying, and it sounds right, if that makes sense. So I was thinking about, telling a story, a time when I felt like I followed my mind instead of my body. And oh my God, I couldn't pick one because there have been countless times that I have listened to my mind over my body. I swear to God, up until my Saturn return, at least, I was constantly functioning from the mind and I wasn't in my body. I wasn't awakened. I wasn't embodied at all. And so, we could pick apart those 28 years with a fine-tooth comb and we could find thousands of examples. But I think some really good examples of recent times are probably in terms of relationships, not just intimate, but friendships, and also jobs. I'm trying to get comfy. I'm 16 weeks pregnant and yep, got to move around, got to get comfy. Anyway, yes, so when it comes to choosing a role or choosing a job that feels right, I have my mentorship and I also have a couple other forms of income that, mean I am in the workforce and I am employed in some way. And there was a period of time where I stepped into a role because it made sense. It was the logical thing to do. I stepped into a role that looked good on paper. From the outside, it was like, yeah, this ticks all the boxes. And, you know, there was part of me that was like, oh, though, like, I don't know if that's right for me. And I pushed through it. And I got into the job and I was doing it anyway. And then I had a boss who was overly controlling and narcissistic. I experienced, you know, serious stress, depression, and anxiety as a result. There was bullying, and yeah, it was a huge learning experience. You know, pushing through that and making the decision with my mind led me to more pain, essentially. It wasn't very nice at all. And even just like in relationships, like the same sort of thing. This makes sense. I'm thinking this, or, you know, my friends say this. So, you know, and completely outsourcing my inner authority. Yeah, like having that autonomy over my own life. I was giving it out to someone else because I thought, oh, you know, they know this person, and you know, instead of me getting to know them properly first, which sounds like obviously, Courtney, don't do that. But hey, I had to learn these things. And, you know, when I started to learn the signs of my body, when I started to listen to those things and I started to trust them and experiment with them, yeah, things started to change. I realized, you know, what my purpose was, doing the mentorship and, you know, helping people discover their truth and talking to them about human design and energetic healings and, you know, intuitive knowings that really guide people. Like that's my jam. I love that. And, you know, following these cues from my body helped me get there. Another example is, you know, my partner. You know, we were together, we broke up, we got back together. The second time, I just knew. Like, it's, how do I explain it? Because it was so visceral. It was just this feeling. And I just knew with absolute certainty that this was my person. And that, you know, this was a relationship that I wanted to be in, and this was a person that I wanted to be with. And it felt so right. Like, for me, it's kind of like, from my gut, it's this feeling of rising energy. It's literally like an expansion, and it's very strong. Yeah. listen, my body is telling me. And you know what? In saying that, life didn't become all rainbows and butterflies just because I started doing this. Yeah, you absolutely need to be listening to your own inner voice because we're all on our own unique path. But like, once I learned this, I didn't just become a wizard of my body instantly, you know? I kind of am a wizard. I'm making a baby right now. That's pretty freaking magical and cool, you know, like I'm literally making life right now. I'm growing eyeballs, I'm growing lungs, I'm growing all sorts of things that you do at 16 weeks pregnant. My point is, this wasn't a one and done. I didn't just make this beautiful decision to listen to my inner voice and it was all sunshine and daisies. Like, this was a lesson that I've had to learn over and over again. Like with my partner, I've doubted that man and I've doubted the relationship about 100 times since, maybe more. And it's something that I've had to work through and come back to my inner voice, learn, oh, when is my mind trying to get in the way? And this is where the nuance comes in, and this is where the mentorship helps, because, you have someone who can guide you through those blocks and can see your own blind spots. That's why I have my own coach, because I have blind spots too. I still use my head sometimes, but I can catch it now. I'm way more aware of that sneaky little, entrance from the side or from the back that's, that voice that says you can't do something, or that something's wrong here, or that's a red flag. And it's like, maybe I'm a bit of a red flag sometimes, and maybe that's what I need to check on. Have you looked in the mirror? That sort of thing. But I think the best part about all of that is when you learn your own authority, you can learn the authority of those around you, of the people that you love, and that strengthens relationships. And I love that so much. That's why we're here, to be here serving our purpose and to be in relationship. And, knowing my partner's emotional authority, because, he's different to mine. He's got the emotional authority, I've got the sacral. I actually was able to step out of anxious attachment and into secure attachment with that piece of information alone, because it meant I stopped taking things personally. It meant I could support him better. It meant I didn't think that there was anything wrong with me just because he was going through something. Don't get me wrong, there's been things that were my fault, and I definitely caused whatever it was. But I took ownership of those, and the times when he was going through something that was completely outside of us and outside of me, it meant that I wasn't losing myself in, worrying about that, because we get trapped in this way of thinking, and it's a really narrow-minded way of thinking, that everyone is the same as us, and we expect other people to be like us, and they're not. We actually all move differently, and that's so bloody beautiful. And it's actually been a massive help in becoming a better parent as well. Knowing my daughter's design and knowing her authority, I can guide her. If that's something that I learned as a kid, to know how to listen to my inner voice, how different would this life have been? It's crazy to even think about, but this next generation that we're raising and teaching them how to listen to their own unique inner voice instead of putting our own projections on them and, pushing them into things we think they should do instead of helping them to guide themselves. And don't come for me. I'm not saying let a 5-year-old decide that they want to eat lollies for breakfast and never have a bath and chop all their hair off. I'm talking about different things to that. I'm talking about personal interests. We're not pushing them into dance lessons. We're not pushing them into books. We're not pushing them into sports. We're giving them a taste of things, 100%. I think that's our job as parents. But when it comes to the decision whether they want to do something, I think we've got to teach them that comes from within, not from us. Just a thought. Take it or leave it. Anyway, so that's what human design does. It brings you back into yourself instead of trying to be like everyone else or grab, that validation from outside of yourself. I'm glad that I have learned this, because it means I can be a better friend. I can help my friends say, are you listening to yourself when you say that? How does your gut feel? Depending on their design, I can support them. I can understand them better. And it's the same with my partner. It's strengthening all of my relationships, because I can see where we're different, and then I can bring in compassion and understanding. And that helps me stay grounded. That releases the overthinking, that releases the anxiousness, and it helps stay calm. And life is just a lot more joyful. It's a lot more peaceful when you live with more compassion and understanding in your heart. You have that open mind that everyone's different and you don't expect them to be like you. So if you're ready to understand how your intuition works and you're looking for support on how to trust that better, there are a few ways that I can support you. You can click the link in my bio to book a clarity call, and that's just a short 20-minute chat, no obligation. It's absolutely free. It's just a complimentary chat where you can come, and if you don't know what you want, if you don't know what you need, we can sit down. I love my tarot and my oracle deck. I look down, it's on the floor at the moment because I set all this up. And, I could pull you a card and we can do a bit of a dive into what you need and where your soul is calling you. And that's something I can help do just as a complimentary call. Or you can also explore my one-on-one mentorship, Harmonize. And this is something that I'm super excited to bring about because of the way that this system, this human design system, has helped me put language to things, to give me permission, to step into self-trust and to just honestly live a better life and to strengthen my relationships. That is something I'm so passionate about and something that I'm bringing into my one-to-one mentorship. So you can find out some more about that by sending me a message directly, and I can answer any questions that you have about that. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.